So, good morning, everyone. So, our unit 2 had two chapters. Your chapter 4 was thinking about prototyping, which we are already done with. So, your chapter 4 was basically all about what do you mean by prototyping. And whenever you are thinking of prototyping, what are the things which you really need to take care of? What are the problems which come into the picture? What are the different software source options which are available to us? That was our open source and closed source. And last, which we had seen, tapping into community. So whenever you are designing your prototype, you have to always refer your community people for better understanding of what you are designing. Next, your chapter 5 is on the similar lines only, which says prototyping embedded devices. So initially we have just studied what do you mean by prototyping in general, but now we are going to go in much in detail, like what do you mean by prototyping with embedded devices. So here we are going to study more of embedded components rather than just a prototype, which we have already studied before. So when I talk about this chapter, it will have some introduction related to electronics. What do you mean by sensors, actuators? How can you go up scaling up your electronics? What are the basics embedded computings? What do you mean by microcontrollers, system on chips, choosing your platform? So here we are going to study two embedded platform, which I have already told you before. One is your Arduino and another is your Raspberry Pi. So here we are going to have a more detailed understanding of this embedded platforms, or you can say devices. What is the difference between the two? What you should opt for? Why the reason people are going for this? So here we are going to have some, you can say, understanding of it or difference between the two, which gives a clearly identification that what we have to go for, because there are many characteristics which are being uh, distinguished amongst the two, and which tells you that which we should go for. Okay, so that's all about your chapter number 5. So we are going to start with it. So the very first thing that the chapter number 5 is says prototyping your embedded devices. So first let us understand what do you mean by prototyping your embedded devices. So initially we have already know that when I talk about prototype, it actually refers to a small working model of my actual system. So before I start with actual working of my system, I'll design a prototype. That is a small working model which will exactly work like my actual model, which I'm going to design in future. Okay. So when I talk about prototyping embedded devices, here we are referring to prototyping your IoT devices with embedded components into it. So when we talk about IoT prototyping, it basically refers to building your IoT hardware and devices that are actually augmented with your smart sensors and with some of the embedded systems of shell components. Of shell components refers to the components which makes your embedded devices. So what are the components which make embedded devices in IoT? Is your sensors, is your circuit boards, is your actuators and microcontrollers. So these are the components which are required to make an IoT devices and which act as a embedded devices into your IoT. So whenever we talk about off-shelf solutions, they are already available to the end consumers or the people who are using it. Because when we talk about prototyping of embedded devices, we are not just going for an hardware, but we are also going as a software. So together is making your IoT system. As we have already discussed before, whenever I talk about IoT devices, it needs an hardware, it needs a software, and integration of this two makes a system. So here we are not dealing with just one a hardware component, we need a software component as well. So whenever we are going for a prototyping, it is very much important to take care of your elements which you are using in the prototyping, because the designing plays a very important role, because that's an actual product which you're going to go in the future. So when we talk about platforms availability, there are limited platforms available with respect to your embedded devices, because we have two platforms only, as I've told you before, that is Arduino and Raspberry Pi. So whenever we talk about designing a prototype, it can be as easy as just seeing a video and coming up with your idea, or coming up with your prototyping just couple of hours. Or else if you're going for something that is your commercialize, then it takes lot of time, it takes lots of planning. Okay, you at times need expertise people as well, which will help you to understand your system. And most of the companies, to be very honest, don't have any in-house, you can say, uh, handling of the hardwares. in-house handling of the hardware they don't have. Most of the companies have the software in-house team. Hardware in-house team is not there. Hardware, it's something more like they just go, they buy the per, components which they want, they integrate it and they come out with it. Or most of the times they purchase a component which is already integrated, they just have to write the code into it and they come up with it. So many companies don't go for in-house embedded services. However, software services is easily available, so everybody goes with that only. So whenever you're designing a prototype, you may face many of the problems that can be related to your hardware familiarity, can be related to your cost and size, which we have already seen. So designing a prototyping of embedded devices is not a easy task. There are many things which are involved into your mind. So you can just say, like, when you're designing your prototyping, it is just like you're running your first marathon, somewhat like that, because your initial steps going to be very difficult. You are going to be having many problems. There are many things which come into the picture when we start actually designing, but the most important thing you have to take care of, that whenever you are studying or whenever you are designing the prototype of embedded devices, you should know the basic of electronics. That is the main important thing, because whatever platform you select, it will consist of circuits and it will consist of hardware elements. So knowing your basics of electronic is very much essential when we talk about prototyping of your embedded devices. So that was all your prototyping of embedded devices, what it is. Let's move to the next. Next, we are going to the topic that is electronics. So everybody must have heard this word. This is not something new for you all. So when I talk about electronics, when we talk about prototyping of embedded devices, the very first thing which comes into the picture is your prototyping of your electronics. So your electronics are nothing but here referred to as your breadboards. So there are two types of breadboards here. You can see one breadboard is your solderless breadboard and one is your solderless breadboards. You can see here. This one is your soldered breadboards. This was one which were used initially. Okay, other one which is used currently is your solderless breadboard. These are the one nice plastic breadboards which is very easy to carry as well, and it doesn't hurt you as well. These boards are sometimes hurt also, because if solders are not properly tightened up, so in that case they may hurt as well. So these are the two types of breadboards. So when we talk about initial prototyping of your embedded devices, we need electronics. So when we talk about electronics, we need to put them somewhere. Okay, so where basically we use a breadboards which really help us to put our hardwares into it. It can be your sensors, it can be your actuators, whatever you want as initially, but breadboard is very much important. So the option is yours. Either you want to go for a solderless breadboard or you want to go the solder one breadboard. So basically when we talk about breadboards, they are just like a push fit connection. Push fit means what? Whatever device you have, you have to put into the slot. You can see the slot, the numbering is there, 1 2 3 4 5. That's the numbering is like that, and there is an ABCD as well. So it's just like a row and column matching out here. There is a negative sign, there is a positive sign, there is a negative, there is a positive. So whatever you want to have a circuit like negative and positive, then in that case you can put into it. So basically when we talk about this, it is a push fit. Push fit why? Because you take your element, you push into these slots and then you try to fit them. So that is why it is called as a push fit connection. So whenever we talk about prototyping, we have to very first thing which is required by us is a breadboard. At times it is also called as protoboard. Okay, so it's one and the same. So no need to confuse yourself at what is protoboard and what is breadboard. It's one and the same only. Let's move to the next. Next, which is an important component, which is sensors. So when we talk about electronics, we divide it into two parts. The two parts is nothing but your sensors and nothing but your actuators. So when we are talking about sensors, everybody of us knows about it, that sensors are nothing but the way how the information is captured into your devices from the environment. That is your sensors. It is sensing something. So what it is sending, whatever it is there into the environment, it sends into it and it brings us the result. So basically we can say that sensors are the devices that responds and that detect the changes in environment. So there is a temperature sensors which you can see here. Then I have then another sensors, that is your RFID tag. So probably you will be doing a practical over it as well. So when I talk about sensors, the input can be from variety of sources. So sensors type can be your light, temperature, motion, pressure. we have already seen in the initial lectures, that was the very first lecture, that when we talk about sensors, the types of the sensors are your temperature sensors, there are pressure sensors, there are moisture level sensors, light intensity sensors, RFID tag, which is there here, okay, and moisture sensor. So basically sensors are nothing but they are used to sense from your environment. Whatever information is there, it is sensed, and that information comes into your devices. That is your sensors. Let's move to the next. Next, we have actuators. Okay. So when we talk about actuators, it is exactly opposite of the sensors. It works reverse. That is your actuators. So when I talk about actuators, they are the outputs for the devices, okay, rather than input. In sensors is what it is, an input to a devices. It sends your environment, and according whatever it sends in your environment, it takes that and gives the result to you. Wherein if I talk about actuators, they are exactly opposite of it. Okay, they are going to give outputs to the devices. So actuators are your motors, your lights, and so on, so which actually tells your device to do something to the outside world. So it tells you that you have to do something so that you can understand that what is happening, whether your output is seen or not. So all your lights, okay, all your motors comes under your actuators. So when we talk about this, both of the categories, the electronic components can talk to the computer in number of the ways. Okay, the simplest one is your digital input output, which we already must have studied in your embedded devices, which always comes with two state. Okay, there is a button which tells you the state. If LED is turned on, your state is 1. If it is turned off, the state is 0. So you can have a LEDs, that is light emitting diodes as well, which typically comes in the different colors like your red, green, white, like you can see over here. And there is a push button. You can see here, it is something like a push button here. Okay, so these are the lights. So once these lights are turned on, it gives output, it gives signal to you that whatever you had processed is completed now. So it is giving something information to the outside world. So that is your actuators. So always remember, sensors and actuators are exactly opposite to it. One sense the environment and gives the information back to the devices. When if I talk about actuators, it gives the information to the outside world. So there is a reverse working of both of them. Let's move to the next. Next topic is your scaling up your electronics. Okay, so scaling word refers to what? How you're going to scale, how you're going to grow up with your electronics. So in electronics, it doesn't comes with much of the options. So when I talk about scaling up, I can scale only with the proto board. That is nothing but your breadboard. So proto board and breadboard are one and the same. So in the from the perspective of electronics, the starting point for prototyping is usually a breadboard. So when the first thing you think of electronics, you have to start with a breadboard. You need a breadboard to do everything. It is very much common that you can solder all your components into your breadboard. Okay, and then you can start connecting the circuits, or you can start connecting whatever you want to start designing as a prototype. So moving from the proto board tends to involve a lot of PCB. PCB is nothing but your printed circuit boards. There are PCBs as well. We are going to see in the next topic which are going to come. Okay. So with breadboard or with proto board, it really becomes a very easy for you to use a new piece of your hardwares and understand its working. Earlier there were solder boards, so it was very difficult, and the boards were very, you can say, bulky as well, they were heavy. But when you have come up with the proto board and with the plastic breadboards, it has really become very easy for scaling up the electronics. You can easily add any of the components to your breadboards and you can start designing the prototype. So that is basically all about scaling up with the electronics. Whatever component you are using as initially, to, you can say, to push fit your elements into your breadboard, that component should be very lightweight and it should be very big in size as well, so that you can put multiple components and you can at least come up with a prototype, initial prototype. So breadboards actually help us to do the same. So we should always go for plastic breadboards which are solderless breadboard, because they are very easy to carry and they are very light and weight, and they have a much holes also, like you can say the hole which is there which allows you to push fit your components are also more in that. Okay, so that was your scaling up the electronics. Let's move to the next. Next, we are going to the topic which says embedded computing basics. So what are the basic things which you required whenever you start embedding your devices? So the very first thing we will first see what do you mean by embedded computing. So whenever we talk about embedded computing, it is something that deals with the electronic component. So at times there are low power consumption unit and they are used to run your specific tasks like your remote controls, your washing machines, your microwave ovens, your sensors, your RFID tags. So we always comes up with a networking hardware such as your switches, routers, modems, and your mobile phones. So this actually combines together and together we can make a complete Internet of Things. Okay, because when I talk about Internet of Things, it requires an internet, it requires an connectivity along with your objects, that is nothing but the things, and those things are augmented with your sensors, actuators. Okay, so this together make your IoT. So that is why when we talk about real time information, this together is working as a one system, and all the time they are giving you real time information. So when we talk about IoT, most of the IoT, if you see software systems, okay, sorry, hardware systems, are low power consumption. Okay, because whatever device you are using or whatever platform you are using, like you talking about Arduino and Raspberry Pi, so they don't come up with much RAM or ROM. So there is always with respect to size, they are very less. Okay, there is low power consumption as well, because we are starting designing the small devices so that they can work powerful. So we consider many of the things into it. So when we are talking about embedded computing basics, we need to have basics of few things which are used in electronic component. So the very first is what? Let us see. The very first is your microcontroller. So you must be knowing about it. So when we talk about microcontroller, it is just a compact integrated circuit, you can say, okay, and which performs an operation in your embedded system. So when we talk about a microcontroller, it will always have a processor into it. It will have a memory. It will have an input output. Okay. And everything takes over on a single chip, which means that we have a smaller and we have a customized design and we have a strong, you can say, element which does all the tasks for us. At times when your microcontrollers are there, they are also have a good RAM sizes as well. Okay, wherein their size can be in terms of storage like 10 of kilobytes, that is 10 KB. Currently when we talk about the modern chips which are there, they are like very much smaller and they require the less power, because we are designing small devices. So now our main focus is what we have to make our devices smaller, that and when you're making your devices smaller, they will consume less power. So when we talk about microcontrollers, they are actually used to control your products and devices. The examples can be your remote controls, your appliances, which comes under your microcontroller. So in Raspberry Pi, this is the diagram which I'm referring here is your Raspberry Pi, and this is the microprocessor which is used. Okay, the microprocessor which is used here is ARM Cortex A7. So this is your kit of your Raspberry Pi, and this is the microcontroller which is used here. Okay, so when we talk about microcontroller, in short, they are nothing but your integrated compact circuits, and they actually have some type of processor, memory, and input output, you can say, peripherals over your single chip. Let's see what is the next component we require. Next is your system on chip. Okay, so this is again your system on chip, and here which is used is your Broadcom. So whenever I talk about system of chips, at times it is also called as SoC. S stands for system, O stands for on, and C stands for chip. So this is also a very essential, you can say, an integrated circuit that takes a single platform, and it is actually used to integrate your entire electronic or computer system into it. So when we talk about name, that it is says what system on chip, that is SoC, it works on single chip. That S here refers to a single chip. Okay, to remember it well. So when we talk about the corporate components which are into the SoC, is just like your CPU. It is your input, it is your output ports, internal memory, as well as your analog and input outputs are also there. So depending on the kind of system, we have to decide what SoC we are really want to. So that SoC will actually tells you that what will be your size of chip. So when we talk about SoC, it is used for many things. Like it can be used for your wireless communication, it can be used for signal processing, and many things as per your requirement. So currently when we talk about SoC, they are basically used as a smaller size systems over your personal computers or laptops, and their main intention is only to use them is to reduce the power consumption and to improvise the performance of the laptop, you can say, or tablet or notebook, by using a single chip to manage the all the tasks of your system. So when I talk about SoC, you have to always remember that it is your single chip which does all your tasks. So when I talk about SoC in a Raspberry Pi, you can see the name here. There is a Broadcom, and this is used in your Raspberry Pi 3, the third version, which is of your Raspberry Pi. It is used. So that was your system on chips. Let's just move to the next. So when we had talk about embedded computing basics, there are microcontrollers and system chips. So these are two things which you really need to know. Okay. Next topic which we are dealing is choosing your platform. So this is something which you have always come across, choosing your platform. As we have always told you before as well, whatever platform you choose, it actually depends on the blend of your price, the performance, and the capabilities that suits whatever you are trying to achieve. So your platform will always decide three things. First will be your price, second will be your performance, and the capabilities, what you are intended to design. So it is not always like that you should just settle on one solution, that it is not you can say a correct choice. You should look starting for the options as well, what are the multiple options, because you have to compare three characteristics all the time: your price, your performance, and your capability. So just don't read one platform and start working with it. Try to see the other options as well, what are there. At times there is, there is a you can say differences. Like times the price is low here but the performance is high there. At times the performance is high, the price is low. So it always keeps on changing. So you have to keep in mind what actually you want to there, because all together will not come in just a single platform. There will be always variation in this characteristics, so you have to decide what you want. But in generic, when I talk about choosing your platform, there are few things which really we need take care of. Okay. And some of the factors that actually tells us to decide that what platform you should go for, or what factors you should decide whenever you are thinking of a platform. So let us see what are the factors which are required. The very first factor which is required whenever you are choosing your platform is your processor speed. Since here we are dealing with electronics, so here we are going to see all the electronic components which are actually important to drive your devices. Okay. So when we talk about processor speed, so as we all know that as the technology is increasing, there is increased productivity. We are going for fast internet, and we are connecting that fast internet with so many devices. So now we have actually created a environment, or you can say a need for speed wherever we go. We really cannot, uh, accept that if internet speed is low, we really cannot take it. We want everything has to be very fast. It has to be very quick. So we are actually into that era of technology where we are getting all the results intent very fast and immediately, and we expect our devices also to be like that. We want that whatever we give them as a task, they should come up with quick results. There should be no much time into it. So now when I talk about processor speed, there is something which relate to the processor speed is your clock speed. So these are the two things which are required. Processor speed requires a clock speed. So whenever we talk about computer processor speed, that is your nothing but your CPU speed. It is very much important, you can say, element when you are going for consideration of your computers, because we first check what is the CPU speed. At times we have already studied in our school as well that CPU is nothing but a brain of the computer, because it is very much important for long term and functionality of your computers, that your CPU speed has to be very good. So whenever we start about understanding what is a good processor speed, we should actually understand first what exactly a processor does. Okay, what is the components that actually helps you to improve the functionality of your computer? Like when I talk about CPU, it is a piece of the hardware that actually helps your computer to interact with all the applications and the programs which are installed. Like when you talk about CPU, it also helps you to interpret the program instructions and create the output that you want to have. Like when I talk about applications, so applications are using your CPU. So when I talk about processor, it is just made up of hardware and that actually works together and it delivers you information. So that actually allows your computer to complete the task that you request when you open an application or whenever you're doing any task related to your application. That can be your editing your application, deleting your application, anything related to the task to your applications. So whenever it processes quickly or at times it take a big lot of time to do it, okay, that is actually termed as your computing experience. When your computers are working slow, you say like how slow is it? It is taking so much time. This is actually we come up with. And in contrast to this, when it is a good processor, it is fast and you say how quickly the task has been done. So when we talk about processor, the processor and clocks together work, okay, and they actually tells you that how your information that is received at a particular time and how quickly that information can be processed on your computer. Okay, so the speed at which your computer works and the clock speed together is considered as a processing speed. I'll repeat again. The clock speed as well as the speed at which your processor works together is termed as a processing speed. So your clock at which it works, okay, always there is a clock speed there whenever we are dealing with processor, like intercall processor, any processor comes up with the clock speed. So this together tells how fast your processing will takes place in your CPUs. So that is your processor speed. So it is very much important that you should go for Intel processors only because they are something which are trustworthy processors. Like in computers also we have Core i5, we have Core i3, we have Core i7 along with the generations, that is 7th generation, 8th generation. So the very first thing when we are deciding to go for an embedded platform, okay, so the first thing which really need to look for is the processor speed and what processor is being used, because this is the element which will actually decide the working of your actual system. So you have to really need take care of this. Let's move to the next. Next is your RAM. So when I talk about RAM, like we already, RAM stands for random access memory, and every piece of your software which you are using, it requires a minimum amount of space and memory to run smoothly. So for that we need a RAM, because if your computer does not have enough RAM to support all your software systems you are running or you intend to try to run, then at times they may work slowly. So if you want, then there are additional RAM options also available. You can, if your computer allows, then you can add an additional RAM also. But initially, if your computer does not have enough storage, your software will not run, because a good RAM is very much important to make your software run smoothly. So when I talk about RAM, you can, other words, you can say it is just a working memory for the system. To make your system work, to make your application work smoothly, you need a RAM. The more is your RAM, the more CPU will have an access to it, and your job will become very easier. So your computer will be faster. Always we say go for at least minimum 8 GB RAM. We always suggest like that, because if you're using the softwares which are very heavy, and if you go for a 3 GB or 4 GB RAM, it is not a correct option. So you should go for a higher RAM. However, there are options available where you can externally add your RAMs as well. That's no problem with it. But if, according to your usage, according to your requirement, how much information you are intend to store or your device will going to store, that will be decided up to with respect to your RAM size. Because if you don't have a sufficient amount of RAM, then your CPU has to work more. They had to work more harder to transfer the information or do any type of processing, and this actually, you can say, damages your computer performance. So your RAM plays a very important role with respect to your embedded devices. So you have to select a RAM which is of good size. By default, your Arduino and Raspberry Pi comes up with the RAM, but the size is not really big. So according to that size, you have to design your prototype. So when we talk about RAM, the microcontrollers come up with the RAMs, which is of, you can say, less than of 1 kbs. And when we talk about SoC, that is your system or chips, they actually come up with the RAM that is at least 4 kb. So depending on what you want, you have to select accordingly, because your RAM is going to decide the performance of your system. So your RAM has to be really good. Next topic is networking. So networking is known by every one of us. It is nothing but how you connect your devices over the network. So in IoT, networking plays a very important role because it is all about connection. You're going to connect with anonymous devices, you're going to sense the information, and you're going to save that information in real time. So whenever we talk about IoT networking, we should always go for wired Ethernet. Okay, the reason for this, because when you go for wireless, at times there are some complications which comes into the configuration. If it is not connected properly, the network may go down. So you should always go for wired technologies, or you should go for a wired Ethernet rather than going for the wireless. Like, to be very honest, Wi-Fi is one of the most commonly existing infrastructure which is used for connections, but at times it become more expensive, and at times it also consume your more power. So when we know that when you are going to deploy something like an IoT devices, like in the application areas which we have seen, like your healthcare, your transportation, so it is very much important that what networking protocol which you are using for communication, because if this is strong, then your entire applications will work properly. If your basic source, that is internet, which is important for real time information, if that itself is not strong, then your entire system will be halted. Okay, so it is very much important that whenever you are using devices, you are connecting your devices, then what connection you are using, whether you're going for wireless connections or whether you're going for a wired connections. So when we talk about devices, the devices are anonymous in nature, and every devices have their own functionality. Okay, so when we talk about network, it will have to provide a proper connectivity to these devices. It should have some power, it should have security as well. Okay, and this together can help you to deploy an IoT product. So that is your networking. Okay, so that's it for the day. Thank you, everyone.